Hello, collective. Let's get started on a reading. I just put this background music, that live TV music on. Hopefully it's not too loud. Maybe I'll get snagged for copyright. I don't know. We'll see. But it's like a cabin, and it's a little bit country bluegrassy, so maybe you are planning on going somewhere like that, or that's just very hermit energy, going within, right? So you might not be going somewhere external to you, but you could be changing your external environment in your immediate environment to maybe help bring you that sense of peace. You know, in stressful times, people say, refer to this, you know, this memory, or access this spot where you can feel like you're completely at peace. You know, you're on a beach all alone, or, you know, and so maybe that's kind of, you're recreating, you're redecorating or renovating your pocket of peace. And sometimes it helps, and it's necessary to get away from your immediate environment, so that you can get a better perspective on the things that you'd like to change about that environment. Yeah, we got the Ten of Pentacles. You're really working on your stability, collective. You're really focused on longevity, and this is partnership. This can be in work, this can be in romance, but either way, it brings balance. It brings that home. Ooh, we're like backwards here. Okay. It brings that sense of home, growing old together, learning together, and this can be with one other person. This can be with a family. This is building a family, building a community, integrating and working with that community. It's the whole shebang when it comes to tangible 3D world. Connectivity is, I don't know, maybe you're doing something with technology, some sort of, maybe you're utilizing AI, because I was going to say that I think this music is AI generated. It's not any artists or anything like that in particular, so it would be hard to acknowledge it as being something. So maybe you're doing something, maybe you're going into a space that is false. You're going into a space and you're creating a truth in a false space. Yeah, we have the Five of Pentacles. There's a lack here. Somebody was left out in the cold. And this could be recreating how you... I don't see love here, but Pentacles can be a lot about that, especially the Ten of Pentacles. That's that growing old together partnership. But this feels more like a self-focused situation. So we'll get to how it can integrate with love if we get cups or some passion out here. Your partner is obviously part of your Justice. Yeah, they're part of your destiny. And then we have the World here. And these are major arcana, so that means that the person you are attracting by doing this work, there's some sort of lack, some sort of instability that you have felt for a very long time, maybe since childhood. And some sort of, for instance, all right, this could be something with family, right? Because Pentacles and Ten of Pentacles, that can be about family. And we've got Eight of Pentacles, which 8 is it's always about a new cycle. We've got Justice here. So you've broken some cycle, you're recreating some cycle. It's almost like you're making new traditions. Maybe some place that you called home, or some person that you called home or trusted in, or linked a lot of your own stability to, relied upon for advice, or went to. This could be some sort of, I'm feeling a very big tower almost, where it's like the concept, and I was gonna get construct. I'm getting like digital matrix. It's like you've broken out of some sort of matrix, you've broken out of some sort of illusion of what brought you stability, because you discovered that it was actually the thing that was making you feel this sort of aching, pining, longing, searching for this 10 of Pentacles. And you can't get to a 10 unless you round a 5 up. And the only way to round a 5 up is like you have to break a cycle. It's like you have to break a cycle. I don't know, maybe something about California. What are you doing here? Yeah, there was some sort of deception. Maybe you caught somebody doing something. It could have been a partnership. You could have been, this could be divorce. This could be a parent. This could be, a sibling, an old friend. It's something that has had the illusion, and you have had the illusion, really, that this was your stability, and something has occurred that it feels very like, walking in on somebody. It's like catching somebody in something. But there's something about it, because there isn't a tower here, so it doesn't feel unexpected. A tower is unexpected change. This almost feels like expected change, like you always knew this didn't bring you true stability, but you didn't have a reference, or you didn't have examples or opportunities that showed you anything else. So you just kind of maybe stayed with the devil you knew. And that could have been in work, that could have been in life, in any area, romance, or just your family life, your friendships, dynamics. You gave energy to something, but it brought you lack. Ooh. So you have the King of Swords, and so the King of Swords came up into the upright, and then when I split the deck, it's the Emperor. So this gold foil deck I use for the masculine, so it does feel like I'm tapping into a more masculine energy here. Again, you could be the feminine, but you're working on your masculine 3D, tangible, real world energy, real world, right? So this tells me that when the King of Swords says, no, I actually have something to say, you finally speak a truth, then you become the Emperor. Because it feels like when this realization comes in, when this moment of truth comes in, whether you're receiving this truth and then it's like, oh, I always knew that, right? Whenever we recognize, whenever we hear information come in, it's like we recognize it, and that makes it true or false to us. It just acknowledges something that we've already always known. Knight of Swords, King of Swords, yeah, ooh. I feel like maybe you're somebody who is very tolerant, and you've been quiet about this for a long time, and now that you're like, what? It's like an all of a sudden, oh, that's what's going on here. Oh, you're really gonna do me like that? Oh, that's how you want to play it. Okay. King of Swords, this is somebody who, with the Chariot here coming in armored up, this is somebody who I think you've always been guarded around. See, something about you always knew like you couldn't fully trust this person, or you couldn't trust yourself around this person. Maybe you didn't feel safe enough with that lack of stability. That's stability, security, safety. That's what money represents as Pentacles. But as energy, it's earth energy. All right, so you could be dealing with an earth sign. You could have earth strong in your part. You could have strong earth placements in your chart. You might get a little bit tongue-tied, or maybe you've always gotten tongue-tied around this person, these people, whenever talking about whatever this topic is. And there's some sort of illumination, and then you can finally stand up and say, oh, here it is. But it might take you just a second, because I think you've always been tolerant, you've always been quiet and observing people, and kind of just letting people be people around you, and letting things sort of occur around you, not in necessarily a passive way, just in an observant way. You've been collecting information with that. Swords, a King of Swords is someone who has all the information, and in that Hangman being in reverse, it's also, you could have Pisces strong in your chart, but it's taking that hangman perspective of looking at things in a different way. And, you know, people, you've probably got, I'm getting the word ostracized, you probably got a lot of flack for doing things. And as I say flack, there's a duck, it's a duck commercial here. No sponsorships or anything. And this duck just put like these tiny sunglasses on. But it reminds me of Affleck. And you maybe got a lot of, oh, it is Affleck. Whatever. Commercials. So yeah, I don't know, maybe something with insurance. If Affleck wants to sponsor, insurance ain't cheap. And then as I'm saying that, ta-da, the feminine was not being very talkative here. The feminine energy here. The feminine energy is about emotions. It's about the unseen. And it's about being tapped into spirit. So I'm getting a lot of very masculine world energy here, which is all tangible. It's physical. But Pentacles represent Earth, which is also the most distinctly feminine of the elements. Fire being the most distinctly masculine. And those other two kids are... I should do this all. I thought it was just going to play music. I'm going to turn that off because there's a duck in a wig and I can't. It's a fake duck. If it were a real duck, it would piss me off. But it's a fake duck, so it's funny. Anyway... Something about being distracted. Somebody's avoiding talking about this feminine energy here. They don't want to talk about feelings. They don't want to talk about that. But it's ironic because they are focused on earth energy, which is feminine energy. And they're in this hangman. There's a hangman. And the hangman is surrounded by cups. 4 of Cups and the 8 of Cups. So we've got 2 cycle breakers here, the masculine and feminine. The masculine had to maybe break some family ties, friendship ties, you know, real world circumstances, maybe their external environment. And the feminine has done a lot of work on their internal emotional environment. Because we've got this lackluster energy here. You could be a masculine earth sign, feminine water sign, or have these strong placements, but this is the energy that we're dealing with here. Water and air are the androgynous, ambiguous energies because they both go by the current. So they are, water is more feminine leaning, air is more masculine leaning, but they are more kind of androgynous. You could be androgynous, you and or your person. There could be some sort of androgynous quality about you, where it's, which, like mutable energy of Pisces here, that means that you're kind of malleable, you adjust well to the other. You both could have been very tolerant and taken a lot of shit. And then one day when you speak up, people are like, whoa, where did this come from? You know, because with that Knight of Swords, I feel like you both have had to do a lot of work on speaking a truth, justice here. And the truth was, I don't like the way that things are going around me. I see what's going on here and I don't like it. And then the feminine is, I deserve better. They're walking away from cycles. I feel like it got really dark in here. They're walking away from cycles of non-reciprocal love. He's just not that into you, honey. That's that kind of energy. And 8 of Cups is choosing yourself. It's not walking from one relationship into another, right? So I do feel like there is a period of waiting here, especially with the feminine, because we've got the 4 of Cups. This is someone who's been in their tower. They're waiting for change. Towers represent change. They're waiting for a change. And see, and maybe this masculine, maybe this masculine is the change for this feminine, because I was getting tower energy with the masculine, but I said that it didn't feel like unexpected. So it's like the masculine seems to know. They're very much a magician of their tangible world, but they also feel a little bit clueless about the feminine world, even though right there underneath the surface, they're focused on earth energy, which is feminine. So it's like they've got a lot of access. It's almost like they've got this huge, it's not, okay, so if you're doing like house demo, or it reminds me of something with Italy maybe, but under the Tuscan sun, the sun is Leo, could have strong Leo placements here. And then not Diane Keaton, she did just pass. I believe she was a Capricorn. So death, the devil, the sun. So that is a full cycle of rebirth. But anyway, she goes through a divorce. Again, there could be a divorce here, or separation that really hit the bank account. There could have been a lot of financial investment shared between the masculine and whomever this karmic entity was, whether it be one person, multiple people, a way of life, whatever. But in Under the Tuscan Sun, she wants a doorway. She wants to open up this doorway, and it's like this happy accident where the whole wall falls down, but it falls down basically in the exact shape of what she wanted. But I get this kind of like knocking down a wall and revealing a doorway behind there. This feminine is the doorway for this masculine, and this masculine is the change for this feminine. I hope I said that right, because I don't know. We've got the feminine here, very cautious of their words with the Seven of Swords, and the way I was like, oh, I hope I said that right. The feminine maybe feels a little bit tongue-tied around this masculine, but the masculine, coming from being in the King of Swords in the reverse into the upright so abruptly like that, and then followed up by the Knight of Swords, like immediately, like, now that I speak my fucking truth, I'm gonna speak it to everybody. And it's like, yes, you can be honest, but there are ways to necessarily maybe be honest with this feminine that are not so cutting, right? Because you're dealing with water here. So this is a lot of moon, feminine, and water energy, which is basically like just a redundant statement. So we have the King of Pentacles, Taurus energy here. And we had the Seven of Swords at the bottom of both the masculine and the feminine. They're both watching their words. So with that moon energy, there's a lot of mirroring. This is the doorway. Cool. All right, let's see. Let's clarify for both of them. This is heavy. King of Pentacles again. And that Five of Pentacles. Five of Pentacles is lack, feeling left out in the cold, feeling like you've missed an opportunity. We have the Magician here. It's just like, it's like Alice in Wonderland, you know. Where do they open? Yeah, they open the door and open the door. It's another door and a door and a door and a door. It's like behind a door and a door. Because if you look at the Magician, he's holding a card of the Magician. You know, it's like this, like a never-ending tunnel of cycles of this like reverberating frequency. And it's like, you guys have done this so many times. Get it together already. Four of Swords. Four of Swords is that rest, it's that rejuvenation, it's easing the mind, you know, creating space to have communication with the self, the higher self, right? To get up in here and get out of all the emotions, because if we're in this sort of lackluster, dissatisfied emotional space, feminines, then we're going to be, we need to nurture that place, right? And masculines, if you are trying to break away from doing something that you've been doing and you're going to be doing it, there's going to be a lot of mental stress. And so there's a need to prepare for all of that incoming information, because when you come into contact with this feminine, this is a doorway. It's going to open a doorway. So you're going to have like, you're going to be uploading and downloading, right? A lot of computer stuff. So there could be something with computers. Maybe you two will meet online, right? So the Emperor here, but it feels like something this masculine is doing You know, they could just, if you're starting a new business, you may need to create a website and marketing and, you know, business cards and all of these things. And then the feminine, you're giving to self-love here, right? So it's like saying, I deserve a few minutes to sit with myself. And that seems like a place, and we've got the Emperor out here again. So the masculine feels like they are really in their masculine energy. I mean, we're getting these kings out. For the feminine, there's a little bit of a running from their emotional energy, right? Because it's like, I don't know, every time they sit with their emotional energy, it's like no use. Because of these experiences, it's like that on repeat cycle that it's just like reverberating through space and time. It's like the same fucking thing. Is it ever going to change? You know, so there's obviously that need to fill your own cup, feminine, that need to sit with the self and just go, you know what, I'm deserving of a pedicure. I'm deserving of doing things that nurture my feminine body, and my feminine energy, which is all about receiving, trusting, and guiding, right? Masculine leads, right? And feminine guides. So they are both rulers of the 5D and the 3D. They do rule a space, but they lead in different ways. Because masculine energy is active and feminine energy is passive. It allows, like I was saying earlier, the masculine, it's like, I let people. This masculine is very close to opening their inner goddess, I don't know, their inner feminine. But I don't think that they've ever really had an understanding of how feminine energy works. It's almost like they don't even look at it, even though, ironically, they're just literally looking at feminine energy, the most feminine energy, which is earth. But they think because they're just, it's all about money, or it's all about stability, or it's all about things that they can touch and see and taste. They've forgotten that, you know, they've forgotten this understanding of energy, and what that actually represents. And then there's that whole deconstruction of, oh, this actually doesn't represent stability, the stability that I've always wanted, which is actually cups. Sorry, masculines, but it's the 6 of Cups here. This is a feminine coming in to mirror the lack, all the times that you were in connections where there was too many people. Where would imply that it didn't happen. There was a lot of people on the table. There was always this maybe question of fidelity, loyalty. Now, when you're dealing with a feminine that has filled their cup, that has chosen themselves, not needed to relationship hop, they didn't need to rebound. They were their rebound, you know. They went in and said, when you choose a feminine like that, masculines, or when you are chosen by a feminine like that, because feminine chooses. I mean, masculine can choose, but the union is determined by the feminine choosing, kind of like in other areas. Biologically speaking, it is the feminine that chooses the partner with which they want to procreate with. And so the masculine chooses in the 3D, like, this is the feminine that I want to co-create with. But in order to cross that threshold, because masculine pursues, masculine's active, somebody's realizing what masculine and feminine energy means within themselves, what their actual energy is. But this masculine dealt with, and this feminine obviously did too, because they kept choosing themselves. And so you're getting a feminine that knows how to fill their own cup. And so they can actually, 6 of Cups is agape love, it's reciprocal love, there is an unrequited history here. Both of your histories, because you're mirroring each other quite closely. A lot of repeating cards here. And the Six of Cups says that this masculine is going to have reciprocal energy. And there's something, I don't know why that makes me laugh, but it's kind of like shit. Because the masculine's almost been in their feminine energy. And this feminine is putting them into a masculine energy. So there's this strange conundrum here. Hold on. This is a strange masculine. Because the feminine is... You choose from the chosen. King of Wands. Yeah, that's active energy. That's the one who goes after what he wants. And the Queen of Wands receives and gets what she wants. And that's what we need to see here. There's like, passion is lacking. And passion is Wands. There it is, and it was upside down. It was turned over and it fell out. The Knight of Wands. We need action here. There's no action. This is a deep, meaningful connection here. Soulmate connection with the Six of Cups. Wheel of Fortune. It's divinely orchestrated. It's divinely timed. It's fate. We have justice here as your karmic cycle. 10 of Pentacles at the center. Temperance is like angelic support, trusting in the divine, resting the ego. There's a need to rest the ego. This is a mental break. Somebody needs a mental break. And I think that you two are both telepathically communicating a lot through dreams, possibly with all the cups here. Or emotionally, you're just emotionally mirroring each other. So it's very reactive, but not externally. I don't think either one of you know what the hell is going on between the two of you. When you start to engage with each other, it's probably going to be a very guarded energy because we had that Seven of Swords. There's neither person trusts anybody. And it's like they don't even trust themselves yet. They're still observing that. A lot of observations here. But we have the Emperor here, so it does feel like this is a masculine who is truly in their masculine energy. And so there's a part of them that's softening, but they've been in their masculine energy, but their King of Swords was in reverse. We have the King of Pentacles. They've only been focused on money and stability. They haven't really been saying what they wanted. It's almost like they just had their head down. They kind of just maybe were in a career for a long time and they just muscled through it. It wasn't something that brought them necessarily joy. I don't think joy was even something that this masculine considered. It's funny, I just watched Inside Out last night. So maybe something in that movie about the emotions. I mean, with cups here, this masculine is, an emperor can be quite stuck in his ways, arrogant. I mean, he's earned it. Like, he can back it up. He can back up his confidence. But there's also like a little bit of like, okay, you got it. You can like, remember that whole walk softly, but carry that big stick? Yeah, you got a big stick. Maybe this masculine has a big stick. Good for you, feminines. And masculines, I suppose. But it's more like, okay, but like Kendrick Lamar, you know? Sit down, little bitch. Be humble. Sit down. There's something kind of maybe humbling about this interaction when you two come into contact. Coming into contact with this feminine, it's a doorway, and it's a doorway that's like, almost like I keep getting the doorways in Alice in Wonderland, and that also reminds me of like the gag gifts, you know, where you would pack something very small or like a note or something in box, in a box, in a box, in a box. And that reminds me of the movie Serendipity. Again, with the justice in the world here, it's like this full circle. And you're both starting with this lack energy. You've moved through observing, taking your time, and focusing on what you actually want so that you know. Because this masculine was attracting feminines that were not compatible with them. Not really. But they didn't really know what they wanted. because they were just doing what they were told, doing the cycle before them, what they blah, 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 blah. They were just almost like a little, cutout of, it was not, their path was not divinely orchestrated at that point. It had been maybe by parents, society, circumstances, and then it just got more shaped and more misshaped by lovers, friends, work, successes, failures, whatever, all perceived. Right, because that was actually the divine orchestrations getting in there. And not affecting free will. So, I mean, that's not to take away from the work these two individuals have done. They've done a lot of the work, The divine can't do the work for you. They can help a little bit. But it's up to us. We are the magicians. We are the creators. So this activation, okay, so in Serendipity, the Annie Lennox version of Waiting in Vain comes on, and she unpacks it, and then he doesn't even have the ring. But it's Aiden. Well, not Aiden. He's Aiden in Sex and the City. Which is funny. There might be parallels there, but there is this sort of like, and that's very twin flame, these two, you could be in other relationships, or could have been, you could like be missing each other. You could be missing each other. But I feel like there's this missing 31, 37. So there could be maybe that age difference, 6 years or something with, 31 and 7, the difference between them being 6 is the 6 of Cups. So the Ace of Cups. That's what we need. We need an Ace of Cups here. Because this is old love. This is old love. It's going to be very triggering and all of that. But it's like, okay, there's this weight of, like, why were you with them? Why was I with them? Why were you with them? This back and forth. And this could be in this lifetime. You could have known each other for a very long time. You could have grown up together. Whatever. But there seems to be this, like, why didn't we find each other sooner? Or like, I wish we would have, and kicking yourself, shoulda, coulda, wouldas, or like, all the bullshit that happened in between. It's this kind of love is, you feel sorry for everything you did to this person, even though you just met. Or you are sorry that you took so long, even though you've just met in this life, right? So this feels like when you first meet each other, there's going to kind of be this overwhelming sense of like mistrust, but you're also my person, but maybe we've murdered each other in a past life, it kind of feels like there were some wrongs there, but we need an Ace of Cups here because there's the lack of action. We got the 10 of Cups, 10 of Pentacles. I mean, this is the love. It's the be all end all. It's growing all together. It is the power couple. It's very nurturing. It's grounded. It's safe. It's emotionally connected. And there is that kind of tether. And I do get that missing sensation. You miss each other because this is your best friend. Oh, my voice just glitched there because it is. It feels like a glitch in the Matrix, but a good glitch. Because only when the Matrix is a construct, and only when you find a glitch in there, it's actually the loophole. It's the rabbit hole. It's like, oh, I could go out of here. 2 of Cups, yeah. There's an agreement. There's a conversation that needs to happen. And this isn't a 3 of Cups. 3 of Cups is more like a date. It's a celebration. 2 of Cups is more like, let's talk about this. There's love here. We've got 2 full cups here, but because we have 2 full cups here, it's not like we don't need this extra cup here. It's just us. This is very private and a little bit guarded. High Priestess in reverse. Yeah, there's a little bit of like, I think intuitively you both don't necessarily trust your intuition because you are children of chaos. When you're a cycle breaker, you're a child of chaos. So you fear and intuition feel very much the same. When it says, don't talk to that person because that person triggers me to grow and I'm actually madly in love with them, that feels exactly the same as don't talk to that person. That's a taker. That's a vampire. That person is out with an ulterior motive to just sap your energy, and they will break down and deteriorate your connection with yourself. But you're like, it's the same. It feels the same because you have been gaslit and manipulated into somebody else's storyline, somebody else's truth. And that's fine. That happens a lot, right? But once you discover that, it's like, oh, I have to check myself before I wreck myself. I think there's a lot of cautiousness here because there's a bit of self mistrust or just caution with self. It's not that you mistrust yourself because you trust. Actually, it's a better trust with yourself, because if you didn't truly trust yourself, then you wouldn't take the time to be cautious. You would just be like, I'm going to go into this because it feels fucking good. So there is actually a need to take a moment. If you're hearing this, maybe you are questioning that. So there's a need to honor the fact that you've done a whole lot of work here. Both of you have done a lot of work, and you do know what's right for yourself. So this High Priestess, see, it feels like that Hangman energy again. It's that Piscean energy. That is the third eye. There's probably a third eye awakening with this person, which feels a little bit terrifying if you've ever experienced that when you come into connection with somebody, where it feels like you just kind of shoot into another dimension, and then you're like, whoa, I don't know if I can trust that. Like, it was a rush, and it was kind of cool to peek into something else, but it was also Five of Swords here with the Two of Cups. Maybe this is not the first time that you two have interacted. Maybe the first time you interacted didn't go over so well. Two of Pentacles, Two of Cups. This is a face-to-face conversation about the logistics, about how are we going to make this work, because you don't get to the 10 of Pentacles and the 10 of Cups. You don't get to the big money and the big love unless you are willing to have the communication, unless you're willing to give the swords the communication, and unless you're willing to give the, this is the least action thing, which I think is because maybe both of you have gotten caught up in a lot of passionate connections that didn't go anywhere. So you got the Knight of Wands here. There is a lot of passion there, but it is restrained for sure. There is a lot of sexual tension here, because look at this standoff. Look at this, like, wow, wow, wow. You guys are just mirroring each other. You're like, I don't trust you. But you're looking into a mirror. So you're saying, I don't trust me, right? So look at that for a minute. You know, you need to trust yourself. There's a need to go, you know what? I actually do know what I'm doing here, because I've taken this observational stance here. Well, it's actually kind of the opposite of a stance. Again, it's just observing. It's observing, gathering information. It's like the Page of Swords. But the Page of Swords is just curious. It's someone who doesn't necessarily know exactly what they're doing. They're learning as they go. To be the High Priestess in the Hanged Man position, in the Page of Swords energy, is somebody who is looking at something brand new, but it's very old. This is old information. This is an old doorway that's been covered up, and you're going to get to the truth of it. You're going to do that. And then the only way to get in through a locked door is with a key. And what is the key? Communication. Communication with self. So just keep talking to yourself about this, and honor the communication that you've had with yourself in other connections, because you've walked away and you've chosen yourself before. You're both willing to, with that full cup, you're both willing to walk away. So there was one of the cards was reversed here, and it was the Queen of Wands. The feminine feels far more cautious than the masculine here. They've probably been burned in maybe more ways. I don't know. I don't want to compare, because, you know, you don't compare or compete in love. And it doesn't feel like that. So but I think that might just be the facts here. The feminine, yeah, the feminine's been through, they've been burned a lot. We have the Seven of Wands there. So them choosing themselves is like a burn victim saying, okay, I'm going to do my own skin grafts. They had to choose themselves, and I think that they didn't quite have, because the masculine coming out with that Ten of Pentacles, the masculine probably has a lot more support in the community, in their family. The feminine feels more like they're going to take a different type of caution. Because with the masculine being focused on the Pentacles, maybe they've dealt with feminines who took from their real world stability. They took their money, right? Could be children involved. Maybe they wanted alimony after this separation. Maybe they just took their time. Maybe they're still taking their time, and that's the masculine saying enough is enough, because you don't actually reciprocate, and you're holding me back from this love, and I want to give my love to this love because it's my person. So duh, what else am I going to do? Oh, all right. So we're going to roll 4 dice here. All right, 1, 2, 3, 5, and we're missing the 4. The 4 is, which is funny, I just found a die recently, and it was in the 4 position. And 4 would be, 4 of Swords is rest. 4 of Wands is 11-11, divine union, twin flame. 4 of Cups we already had out for the feminine, which is waiting to receive the right cup. Don't just take any cup that comes to you. Make sure that you are being always choosing yourself. That's the advice. And what's going on with the feminine? I feel like that's exactly what the feminine is doing, because that's the energy that was coming out. The masculine is really just looking for stability. And then we have the 4 of, what's the other one? Oh, 4 of Pentacles is kind of someone who can be a little bit of a hoarder, a little bit withholding with their resources, but it's also a good place. 4s are a balanced place because it's a contemplative hermit place, Virgo energy, where you are evaluating what you have and evaluating what's coming to you, what's presented to you, what opportunities are being brought to your doorstep, and going, return to sender, or all right, I'll give this one a shot. But it's like, this is how much. It's not a breadcrumby energy. In the reverse, it might get into that, but it's like, and it's not tit for tat. It's just being very measured about the amount of energy that you give to something based on the amount of energy that you receive from it. So it's making sure that there is a balance. 4 is a number of balance, right? Anything that has 4 corners, is going to be more structurally sound. So yeah, I mean, and I feel very pragmatic in the way I'm delivering this information. So it does feel like an important discussion. It's going to bring you both a lot of passion, and hidden behind all of it, I think the last door is going to be all the passion. And when you open that sucker, good luck. So you want to make sure, because if you started with the passion in this type of a connection, because there's so much weight to it, it could go quite awry. It could go a little bit off the divine path if you haven't taken the proper steps, if you haven't opened one door at a time and gone, okay, let's work on communication. Let's talk about what we both want. Let's talk about how we're going to get that, how we're going to maintain this. What's your love language? What things turn you off? What things hurt your feelings? When do you feel most loved? When do you feel most at peace? Finding those questions out. I mean, if you're someone who's afraid of questions, this is not the reading for you. This is not the connection for you. These are two people who are very much like head to head. They are not worried about confronting the truth and getting to the source of everything that they're doing. They're very intentional, and this feels very intentional. There aren't just like haphazard missteps in what they're doing. There is a methodology to their madness, I think. Everyone else might think that they, as you know, from the outside, that they are crazy people, but that's what the Hanged Man is. It's somebody who is very much like the Fool. They do things their own way. They see things their own way. And that's fine, as long as you're somebody who's willing to have communication about, like, this is how I see things, and asking another person, how do you see things? That's truly having an open mind, where you can accept somebody else's difference of opinion, thought, beliefs, because you are secure in your own, because you've chosen yourself, because you've done that work on yourself. So little push to your ego if you need it. You're doing fine. You know, you both are, whether you're the masculine or the feminine, whichever one you resonate with or you're watching for, you're both intentional, and this is going to come together. It's very slow. It's Pentacles. Pentacles are slow. Earth is slow and steady, and wins the race. So with the Alice in Wonderland and the tortoise, I was actually just thinking about the tortoises this morning, about how many nerve endings they have. So this tortoise, like, there's something about, and this is Cancerian energy as well, having that shell. There's a hard protective shell around one of these individuals. One of you is a little bit, I think, a little bit more soft. One of you is a little more rigid. You could be polarity signs. There's something about you being like polar opposites. Bipolar bear. Anyway, but tortoises, you know, they actually like their shells scratched. There's like nerve endings in there, I guess. So, I guess it would probably be likened to scratching your fingernail. You could be twitching. Somebody could be like nervous, and you bite your fingernails or like pick at your cuticles whenever you're nervously waiting for something. So there is somebody who's waiting. You know, there is like a lot of tension about, is it coming forward? And with that feminine and the Eight of Cups, I do sense that the feminine is like, oh, well, this is just another reverberation. This is just another cycle. So I'm going to head out of here. So there is this sense that the feminine is like maybe more of the runner in this dynamic. But the masculine may know that this is headed to the Ten of Pentacles, but unless they have that conversation or open up and communicate and come out of the King of Swords in reverse and really come into that upright Knight of Swords communication, like, let's have the talk. Let's go out for a drink. Let's go out for a coffee or whatever. And like, let's sit here with our 2 cups and talk about it. Like, how are we going to do this? Do you want to do this? Right? And I jumped right into how are we going to do this? So maybe there isn't much of a question. Again, in the masculine, I don't think there's much of a question that both parties are interested and that this is their feminine. Like, the masculine knows in the 3D, that's my feminine. That's, you know, I always go back to Big Fish, where he sees her across the circus, all the bullshit, all the chaos, all the clutter, all the colors, all the noise, everything. There she is. That's the woman I'm gonna marry, you know. And Danny DeVito's like, damn, like, damn, kid. And other people, maybe this masculine is telling other people how they feel about this feminine, or oh yeah, we're gonna get married. And other people might be like, what the hell? You're a little crazy, you know. Have you even talked to her? Like, I mean, in that movie, he doesn't even talk to her. But he's like, I know you're going to be mine. And in that, she is also engaged to somebody else. So there could be third-party situation to start. And maybe that's why, if you did interact once before, there may have been energy given elsewhere. And so it wasn't the right time. Like in serendipity as well. It wasn't the right time. My hip. my hip. But now it's the full circle. Now it's time. It's the right time. And it feels like in the process of it, you know, I've never ran a marathon, but I would assume if you run, you prepare for months for a marathon, you condition your body so that you're able to endure this immense stress that you're going to put on your physical body and your mind and everything. And so it is a mind over matter. And so when you go through this marathon, it's like, oh my gosh, there's another mile. I've only done this many. You know, it's a long, arduous process. And then at the end, you're like, wow. And then a year later, you pull out the t-shirt, the participation t-shirt or whatever, and you're like, wow, that was a year ago. That feels like a blip. But it was, you prepared for all this time. So when you come together, I think it's going to be very matter of fact. You're in this together. The end, honey. We found each other. I told you we would find each other. And maybe you've said that to each other before. In this lifetime or another, you have said, I told you we would find each other. I told you I'd be back. You know what I mean? You didn't trust me. Here we are. And now you're back together in this lifetime. And it's 10 of Cups and 10 of Pentacles from here. That's it. So it feels very secure, but I just feel like there is this, it does feel like it's taking forever, particularly to the feminine. The feminine's having more of a struggle because there isn't a lot of communication or word or signs from their masculine. So ask for signs from your masculine. Masculines, send out some signs, help you girl out. And then that way when you come together, there's not going to be any of that, where have you been? You know, it's like they slap them on the arm and they're like, where the hell have you been? You scared the shit out of me. And then they hug them and then they cry and they're like, finally, I was so afraid I'd lost you forever. I was afraid you would never come home. But then they do, it's like coming back from war. This masculine's been at war. Like they've had to handle some strategic nonsense in order to hold and create and hold a space for this union, because that's the work of the masculine. So this masculine is doing some big work, feminine. So have a little faith in them, have a little trust, don't run, right? Because if you're running, what you're saying is like, I'm not worthy of this love, if you're running from it. So if you are worthy of it, if it's something that you truly want, if it's not something that you wanted, you wouldn't need to run from it. You could sit right next to it at a dinner table and it wouldn't bother you. You'd just be like, I don't want that. Oh yeah, is that what you think? Okay, so I agree. I think that's enough big love stuff. I hope there was something in here for you. Everything you need to know is in the description box below. Thank you everybody for your support. It is greatly appreciated. And until next time, I wish you well.